Very good evening. You're watching the Super Saturday debate. I'm Akanksha Swaroop. Vinesh Phogat has moved the Court of Arbitration for Sports ad hoc panel sitting in Paris to consider awarding her the joint silver for her run to the final clash. This after she was disqualified from the gold medal due to missing the required weight by 100 grams. The verdict is all set to be announced in just some minutes from now. It will be a historic judgment if the CAS rules in Vinesh's favour. Her appeal is for the disqualification to be retracted and for a joint silver to be awarded for her making the gold medal bout and following the rules. She made weight on the morning of the first day of the competition and ended up missing the weight on the second day by a whisker, a little over 100 grams. If CAS decides to rule in Vinesh's favour, she will be awarded a joint silver in the women's 50 kg freestyle category. This is unprecedented in wrestling. If the CAS does not rule in her favour, it's going to be a million broken hearts here in India. And with that, we bring a billion prayers for Vinesh Silver as we await the CAS verdict. That's our top focus tonight.
Vinesh disqualification is very shocking.
We tried our best to try and get that weight down, and when she couldn't sweat anymore, we even had to go to some drastic measures like cutting off her hair.
We will at the end follow the CAS decision.
As you all know, in fact, Harish Salve is representing Phogat along with a team of 4 French lawyers as well. Expect CAS to now deliver that verdict in some minutes. We will also be breaking down what we can expect, whether or not CAS rules in favour of Vinesh Phogat. Not to forget the fact that there's also politics surrounding Vinesh's own tryst at the Paris Olympics of 2024. Many from the opposition have now been training their guns at the ruling BJP for causing embarrassment to Vinesh Phogat and her prospects as far as wrestling is concerned. Remember, much has also in fact deteriorated because Vinesh Phogat also announced her retirement from the sport. But let's quickly deep dive into what the verdict could mean for India and for Vinesh Phogat. And for that, I'm joined in by our correspondent Ananya Bhatnagar, who's been tracking all the legal developments for us. Ananya, first things first, what happens if the CAS does rule in favour of Vinesh Phogat? We all know that's going to be an unprecedented scenario.
Well, definitely it's not an unprecedented scenario. It's a very logical scenario that, in fact, the CAS, the Court of Arbitration for Sports would actually rule in favor of Vinesh Phogat because there were strong arguments addressed by the Indian contingent before, in fact, the Court of Arbitration for Sports. Remember that what she has sought in her petition before, in fact, the Court of Arbitration of Sports, which set up, in fact, a temporary, which created a temporary setup in Paris to hear this particular matter, was that she wants to have a joint silver medal with the other contender, and that is exactly what has been claimed by the Indian side. The arguments that were addressed by senior advocate Harish Salve appearing for Vinesh Phogat, and also Vidushpat Singhania, senior advocate who is appearing for, in fact, the Indian Olympic Association, was that every athlete has a right to, in fact, replenish its body. And what happened to Vinesh Phogat, the increase in weight was nothing that was due to any kind of artificial substance. It was just a normal recovery process of the body, because of which this particular rise in the weight, the 100 grams, the rise that happened in her weight had happened. And every athlete has a fundamental right to actually replenish their body, is exactly what in fact was argued by the Indian contingent there. So all hopes are high.
Right.
Everybody's fingers
Ananya, but the fact of the matter remains that if the ruling does go in favor of Vinesh Phogat, this is going to be an unprecedented situation for the world of wrestling, and that's a fact. But having said that, I would also like you to give us a sense of what's happening at Vinesh's residence, because I see you're stationed there. Give us a sense of hope that is renewed after this entire decision was challenged at the CAS.
Well, definitely, this is the residence of Vinesh Phogat, and very clearly, her uncle is here. Everybody is constantly waiting. Everybody wants to have, in fact, a very, very clear understanding and want to have a favorable judgment from the International Court of Sports. And very clearly, everybody is waiting eagerly for that verdict to come out. Remember that as per the press release issued by, in fact, the Court of Arbitration for Sports, very clearly and categorically at this particular point of time, 9:30 Indian Standard Time is the time when the verdict is to come out. 6 p.m. or the 6 in the evening is the time in the Paris that the verdict will come out. But all hopes are high. The heartbeats are throbbing, and in fact, fingers are completely crossed when it comes to Vinesh Phogat, and everybody is waiting, in fact, for that particular crucial decision, which India is waiting that it comes into their favor.
All right, many thanks to you, Ananya, for bringing in all those inputs. And with that, let me also introduce my esteemed panelists today. I'm joined in by Pradeep Bhandari, who's the national spokesperson for the Bharatiya Janata Party. I'm joined in by Ms. Mahima Singh, who's the spokesperson for the Congress Party. I'm also joined in by senior sports journalist Mr. Ayaz Memon. I'm also joined in by A.B. Subaya, who's a former Indian hockey goalkeeper and coach, and also an Arjuna awardee. Many thanks to you, Mahima, and the gentlemen for joining in. Mr. Subaya, I'd like to begin with you. Your hopes for today, are you shelving any hopes? Or as the World Wrestling Federation has also talked about how rules are rules and that they cannot budge away from the rules.
Yeah, Akanksha, if you say that, I'm also like 1.4 million people of expecting that her to get a silver medal, but in sport it doesn't happen. Okay, as per as goes stray only on sports and the rules and regulation of the sport, on that basis it doesn't happen. So we hope for the best. I think it's only short period, another 20 minutes. So I think definitely I also wanted, like any other Indians, that she has to be awarded a silver medal. But my fingers crossed, it may not happen.
Mr. Memon, we are still trying to cling on to the last ray of hope. Is there any? And what do you think could work in favor if there could be a judgment or a verdict coming in favor of Vinesh?
Maybe a strong argument, and moreover, she won her semi-finals bout, and she came, and whatever the reason, they should be very careful of taking any supplements which she don't overweight by whatever 100. They won't allow the 10 grams. Leave it 100 grams, because in such weight category sport like wrestling, judo, weightlifting. So they should have been careful. I know it's all happened now. There is no use of arguing or discussing with that. But still, the strong, our advocates who has put a strong case in front of the arbitrary body. I think hope will. But still, I'm not convinced that the whole body will consider it.
There are still hopes on Vinesh's performance with regards to the preliminary stages, because even if, she stands to be disqualified and does not stand a chance to have won that silver medal, but the fact of the matter remains, we are also hoping that will she be given a chance to qualify for a repechage? Many Indians are wondering if that's still a possibility.
I mean, I think that last contingency which you mentioned, Ananya, seems to be a little far-fetched, because we're at the end of the Olympics. The decision was kind of deferred or delayed till the end of the Olympics. We've just got a very, very limited number of events remaining. I don't think that looks practical, that you go into the repechage scenario and then from there she qualifies. In fact, as things stand, she's disqualified. She's at the bottom of the pool, despite having reached the finals. So I think the issue that has come now, I think what Mr. Subaya mentioned is, they've not found anything of substance abuse. There's no issue of drugs or any such thing involved. The issue is, and that is the petition in front of CAS, is that she has rightfully reached the finals, and at the very least she would have got a silver. So why not, these are very extraordinary circumstances. if the kind of status
You know,
quo has
Mr.
to be
Bevan, what
mentioned.
comes to mind is that if they could, in fact, reconsider a Camila Valeva's case, who was, in fact, was charged for doping, why can't Vinesh's case, in fact, be considered when it actually merits a reconsideration?
I think that is going to be the big argument. I mean, that's something which the attorneys or the people who are petitioning on behalf of Vinesh have put forward, that here's an athlete who's reached the finals on her merit. There was no problem till she reached there. The problem began after her bout in the semi-final when she had qualified for the final. And it's about waste management. It's not about substances being found in her dope test later or whatever else.
Absolutely.
So I think that it's going to be it's a very complex and complicated issue, but that's the petition.
All right, Mahima, I'd like to quickly bring you in because everybody is talking about how there's lack of hope right now, and now that even if Vinesh is not considered or whether she's considered, there's a lot of politics that's gone behind this. Everybody has blamed the BJP for not doing enough. The fact that Mansukh Mandavia also spoke about how 75 lakh rupees was spent on training Vinesh Phogat, that has also sparked enough criticism. Do you think that the performance of Vinesh Phogat is not just going to be seen as a matter of a sports performance? This is going to now spell the future of wrestling in India, also perhaps, lay that foundation for BJP to do more for wrestling and for female wrestlers of the country as well.
Jai Hind, Akanksha, I would begin with these lines. हजार बर्क गिरे लाख आंधियां उठें वो फूल खिल के रहेंगे जो खिलने वाले हैं. What we have seen over the past nearly 2 years, and you are talking about the politics over the issue and politics over the future and the past of wrestling in India, I think it's been on the international agenda for sports over the past 2 years, thanks to the BJP. It started in January 2023 when these girls, the champions who have brought laurels to our country, were systematically sabotaged. And that is what we saw in Olympics also. It's a case of systematic sabotage, I repeat. It is a case of a champion being cornered by coup. And as you rightly pointed out to Mansukh Mandaviya's recounting of the number of rupees spent on, in fact, he said, itne rupai ki madad di gayi thi. Well, I think the choice of words and the choice of what is to be said on the issue on the floor of the House itself speaks about the BJP's mindset towards our champions, which we have also seen the last year when Parliament was being inaugurated on one side and our champions were being thrashed on the roads on the other. So it is today a matter of prestige for billions of Indians who are counting on this judgment which is to be pronounced, this verdict which is to be pronounced at 9:30. We are all bracing ourselves to see Vinesh bring this medal home, because this is a matter of prestige for billions of Indians whose hopes have been sabotaged at the behest of those who were challenged by these champions.
All right, I'm also joined in by Pradeep. Pradeep, first of all, I'd like to thank you for so patiently awaiting your turn. But, there are multiple angles to this entire story of Vinesh Phogat, which has made it a political issue. Not to forget that it has ended up with Vinesh announcing her retirement. Where does the BJP stand as of now? Many analysts are saying that this is only going to spell more trouble for the BJP.
Akansha, thank you so much for having me, and I was listening to all your panelists. At the outset, let me congratulate Aman Sherawat, who's won a bronze medal for India, and he's a champion, as Vinesh is the champion of champions. Now, Mahima said a very, very important point, that the status of Indian sports. And let me draw your attention to how far the Indian sports have gone. Because in 2012, the Indian Olympic Association, when the Congress party was ruling, was banned by the International Olympic Association. And this is the article of the CNN. And let me tell you why. It was banned because the election in the Indian Olympic Association was rigged and an official who was accused of corruption and who was charged in jail for 11 months, he was attempted to be made the president of the Indian Olympic Association. At this moment, the president of Indian Olympic Association is PT Usha, who is a world famous athlete. So this tells you the state and the difference between the approach of the Congress party towards sports and the Bharatiya Janata Party in the union government towards sports. Let me give you another instance. You very well remember that the Indian hockey team has won bronze. I feel that the country should remember that how, when the Congress party was in power, that the Indian hockey team, when it participated in the Olympics, it had to struggle to get hockey shoes, and this was a news article which was reported across in the media. Now, coming to the specifics of the case, I believe that if I will say anything, it will be looked from a political angle. So let me quote the individuals and the people who Vinesh was associated with. So Vinesh was associated with an NGO which was also supporting it, which was called as Olympic Gold Quest. And the CEO of Olympic Gold Quest has given a detailed statement, and it's a public statement, and it clearly mentions, and this is a public statement which I have here, that was there a conspiracy in Vinesh's case? Could the government have done more? The answer is a big no. So do not believe, if you do not want to believe me, please do not believe me, but please believe Bajrang Punia, please believe Mahavir Phogat, and please believe the CEO who was associated with Vinesh for long. So the fact of the matter is that the government has not differentiated between athletes like the Congress party, which attempts to use athletes as political pawns. We've not done that. That is why in our party we have Saina Nehwal, we have Rajyavardhan Rathore, and we equally respect Vinesh Phogat, who is a champion of champions. That is a fact. Just now coming to the case, just 5 seconds, Akansha. I am an eternal optimist, and all of us here have to be eternal optimists, and the government has used all possible means and mechanisms to give its all, and that is where Harish Salve is fighting the case. So I think there are 15 minutes to the judgment.
I wish the BJP had utilized that kind of eternal optimism when all those wrestlers had taken to the streets of the national capital and averted an international embarrassment. But I've given you time, Pradeep. Yes. I will come back to you again. Mahima wants to take a rebuttal. Mahima, please go ahead.
Akanksha, we were listening somebody who comes from a party that called these champions propagandists last year. It was not long ago. They called them agents of the Congress party. They called them a handful of those who are not even invited to any programs today. They have no relevance today. And the glimpses of how they were thrashed. You are writing wretched fate on your screen today. That wretched fate which was brought home to our players by the BJP, those are speaking today. We have also seen how the Indian wrestling and our organizations have been seriously criticized on the world platforms over the past 2 years at behest and negligence, gross negligence of the BJP. So I don't know with what face, looking at those glances and glimpses which the whole country actually celebrated, showing the mirror to the BJP when Vinesh first won her semi-final. So the BJP seems to have no shame when they are talking about the past, and they're totally forgetting what has happened over the past 2 years in this country. BJP may also be reminded of the fact that these champions were on the brink of renouncing their medals and actually, giving them away to the river Ganges because the BJP brought them to that point. So whatever the fate of our champion tonight is, she's already a champion for us. But the BJP would have played a critical part in bringing that fate home for Vinesh.
She already is a champion. There's no doubt about that, whether or not she brings that medal. But we cannot forget, Pradeep, that her entire struggle has been fraught with challenges. Pradeep.
Akansha, if Mahima is talking about politics, this is the state of the affairs of the Congress party, where the Indian hockey team did not even have shoes to wear in Olympics. And if the Congress would have continued in power, the Indian Olympic Association would have been banned, and corrupt individuals would continue to govern the IOA. And they have disdained to the IOA. Now, please come. That is the state of the affairs of the Congress party. So Congress has no right to speak about athletes because their funding was less. They treated sports as agents and as adda of political corruption. Now let us come to the Vinesh case. Did the Bharatiya Janata Party and the union government differentiate between Vinesh Phogat, Neeraj Chopra and Aman Sherawat in terms of facilities? The answer is a big no. Had we considered political biases, we would have differentiated. We did not. Now let us go to the specifics of how Vinesh, whatever Vinesh had asked, the Union Youth Affairs Minister has already pointed out. But let me go to the specifics. A personal coach was asked, it was given. Training in Budapest was asked, it was given. 40 training training, 40 days training with Budapest, again was asked, was given. Hungarian coach was asked, was given. Please let me complete. Physio was asked, it was given. So the Bharatiya Janata Party in the union government did not for an inch differentiate between any athletes based on their political biases and opinions. That is their individual political choice. The issue is that Mahima is not worried whether Vinesh wins a medal or does not wins a medal. The Mahima is worried she's planning her political strategy run up to the Haryana elections to use Vinesh Phogat as a political pawn, because she is not worried. She is not even congratulated Aman Sherawat, who's also a medalist. She is not even congratulated Neeraj Chopra, who's also a medalist. The issue with the Congress party is it always tries to use individuals and groups for its political purposes.
All right,
that
I'm running short of time. I'm running short of time.
That is the issue with the Congress party.
Ram kahani,
They
Ram
spoke
katha
about
ho gayi, Ramayana ki baat ho gayi, Ram to yahi baithe
They
hain.
spoke about
Let's bring in Mr. Subaya.
They objected to reservations given
Pradeep,
to
I've given you
Agnivir.
ample time, Mr. Subaya. As a former goalkeeper, I think let's set the record straight over here. What has been your own assessment of how far? Let's talk about hockey. Today, India's won that hockey bronze. How far has hockey come as a sport in your eyes? While Prime Minister was congratulating, he's also thanked the team for sparking renewed hope for the sport of hockey. I'd like your views before I go to Mahima for a rebuttal.
Akanksha, I am not belong to any party,
yes,
but I can tell you. I can tell you as a sports person, I played hockey. I'm in hockey with the Indian hockey team from 1986 onwards, and I retired. Later, I've been a coach, I've been a manager, I've been a selector of the Indian team, everything. But I've seen the changes. Once our Prime Minister has taken over and he's given. So it's not a political statement I'm not making. Please don't take it.
Sure.
Because the Khelo India system, which he started, and the sports science he's given to each and every team. Till 2010, 2012, it was not existed. And now hockey teams travels with a 10 to 11 support staff, like in each department, and whatever they asked is given. All the exposure trip is looked after, and their diet in the camps are increased. It's not suddenly that we have started winning medals in the international tournament. It's the Khelo India University Games, Khelo India University School Games. It is started by Mr. Modi, which is we started getting a lot of young medalists in shooting, in archery. It was not there before 2012 at least. Right. 2014 when it is there, it's all started. So I'm not making any political thing, but I can see a heap of change in the Indian sport fraternity.
And it's been a heartwarming performance as far as India is concerned, but the big question remains if we will be in fact surpassing our medal tally from Tokyo. But quickly, Mahima.
Yeah, I was listening to the whataboutery and the sheer, boasting by the BJP spokesperson earlier, who forgets that they questioned these players at that point in time, that if they are giving away the medals, why not the jobs also that the government has given them? Anyway, leaving him there because there's no use delving into that further. Yeah, I will talk about a more relevant point here because you see, Mr. Subaya is a sportsperson himself. And during the Bharat Jodo Yatra, when Mr. Rahul Gandhi was having detailed dialogue with a lot of sportspersons, Olympians, Akanksha, I happen to be privy to some of those conversations along the route. Right. And let me count here that Olympians actually stated, and I am sure Mr. Subaya would agree, that sport and medals are a matter of a long journey. The seeds are sown much, much long ago before the results come out. So the medals that Mr. Subaya is talking about and the country is witnessing, the seeds for those medals and those laurels were sown at least a decade ago.
In the Commonwealth Games of 2012. Where corruption was charged, right? The seeds were sown then.
Ask the BJP spokesperson to not be so desperate and observe
I will come to you. Pradeep, nobody intervened when you were speaking. Let her make her point. Yes, please, Mahima, please finish.
Have been taken to do whataboutery. Let me just make this relevant point here. Olympians themselves saying that these medals are a result of the seeds that were sown at least 15 years ago.
Right.
So it's not a matter of the schemes that were started today. And as the world knows, Akanksha, that we have consistently performed and improved on the sports front over the past more than 7 decades that we have attained freedom. And it is a result of the vision, the dreams that were actually implanted and envisaged by the erstwhile governments and the prime ministers. So I hope that the BJP spokesperson and the others will show some statesmanship and will not falsely attribute something to the government who has called the farmers Andolanjivi and who have called these players propagandists and have asked them to urge them to actually renounce their jobs also.
But then, Mahima, the Commonwealth scam also then comes to the surface.
Where there was
If we are talking about steering clear from whataboutery, then Commonwealth will also come to the forefront.
Akanksha, there were major acquittals in those cases which the BJP, as a matter of CAG reports at that point in time, used to come to power. Today, during their regime, we don't get CAG reports. Rather, the CAG officials who bring about reports are fired. And that's a matter of record.
Pradeep.
See, Akansha, the issue with the Congress spokesperson is that when you state facts, they call it whataboutery because the facts are not, something which they believe in. And I do not need lectures from a party which, deprives the children in Karnataka of Anganwadi of eggs and meals and only uses them for photo shoots. So we do not need any lectures from them. Let me tell you the mindset of the Congress party, because the Arjuna Award winner sir was speaking about hockey. The Congress party state of affairs was such that in 2007 they got a rule that if the hockey team concedes a goal, they will charge the player with 2,000 rupees of money. This is how they used to treat the sports. And let me tell you the priorities and the difference between the Congress party and the Bharatiya Janata party in the union government. The government investment in sports has increased by 50% over the last 5 years. It is much more, 60% more than what the Congress party has given. More than 1,000 athletes have benefited, much more than during the time of the Congress party. She speaks about the preferences of the athletes. Abhinav Bindra, Olympian who won the Olympic gold medal in 2008. What was his famous statement? He said that in India during the time of the UPA, you win a medal despite of the system. What does Aman Sherawat today says? That top scheme has helped him. Every athlete today is acknowledging that the support system given by the government is helping and aiding in the efforts of the government. Tell me one athlete who has been spoken about the benefits that the Congress party or the UPA government had given. In fact, the athletes used to win the medal. They used to say that the system is such that only our efforts count. The government does not come into the picture and does not help us. That was the state of affairs of the Congress party. So Congress is the last party to give lectures, and she's speaking about Andolanjivis. Let me tell you what did she do in Agniveer. In Odisha, when the Bharatiya Janata Party government got a reservation for the Agniveers, the Congress party opposed it. The Congress party opposed it. If she gets the debate political, we also can have all the political points. But the sad part is, for her, Vinesh Phogat is an athlete, but Aman Sherawat is not. For her, Vinesh Phogat is an athlete, but Neeraj Chopra is not. For us, Neeraj Chopra, Aman Sherawat, Vinesh Phogat, all are champions, because we do not look at them as political points. We look at them as champions.
Please go ahead. You've made your point. We can't have flying tempers over here, Mahima.
I was told it is a show for Vinesh Phogat and the pronouncement of the verdict. And look at the further whataboutery that the BJP spokesperson is on to. I believe that the audiences can themselves make out what is happening here.
A.B. Subaya, you wanted to make a point, I believe. Please go ahead.
No. Whatever they said about 2,000 rupees for a conceding goal, it's all never happened. But I know that in 2008, our hockey team is failed to qualify for Olympics. And 2012 also we finished 12th. But after that, a lot of revolutionary change has taken place. I'm not even say that 2010 Commonwealth Games is a game changer for Indian sportsmen also, because we started winning many medals in the Commonwealth, Asian Games, everything. So we should not say about only one thing.
Let me now draw back. No. Let me draw attention back to The sport
Indian
of
Hockey
wrestling.
Federation
No,
supports-
Pradeep.
That's the fact. I'm
Mr.
just stating
Mehman,
the fact.
I'd like to bring your attention to the sport of wrestling. Many have questioned whether or not Vinesh was forced to take up the 50 kgs category when her average weight dwindles between 53 and 56 kilos. So the question I want to pose, I have all the names. This is not the first time that Vinesh's weight exceeded the category. In 2016 Rio Olympics, she did. Babita Phogat in 2012 Asian Championship in South Korea. Papu Yadav again declared overweight in 1996 in Atlanta Olympics. What can the Wrestling Federation of India do to in fact address such an issue which has time and again been happening? And is it not time for the IOC itself to sit up and take notice and grapplers be allowed that 2 kg margin? Mr. Mehman, that question's for you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Akanksha, I just got lost
I
in
know.
all this, back and forth. So yeah, I mean, look, I think that it's not the first case, not the first time this has happened, what we are seeing with Vinesh. But I think we should restrict our arguments and our conversations about what's going to happen to Vinesh right now. This is something that obviously the IOC needs to address. It's a very vexing issue. It's not something that you have a pat solution for, and that's why it's gone to CAS. We have to wait and see what CAS does. But I can say, in looking at what has happened, she's been allowed to participate. She's qualified for the Olympics. But we must also look at the extenuating circumstances in which she had to qualify for the Olympics. I think that's very important. It's not just about weight. It's not just about who you meet, which athlete. It's also about the mindset. When you enter the Olympics with your mind fraught with all kinds of problems, you're not in the best shape, as anybody will tell you. Subhaya will tell you. I mean, if you were playing hockey, which is a team sport, 2 players who are disturbed in the mind could cost you the match. Here you're talking about an individual. So, I mean, these are things that need to be understood and addressed. I think the federation did not show empathy. That much is very clear. About for a year and a half, that, we saw this whole confrontation taking place, including leading to protests on the streets of India, of Delhi, of the capital. Just did not help matters. So I think that is something that needs to be addressed at the federation level and at the political level, at the sports ministry level. Let this be an example of how not to do things, rather than saying, let's wait for the result, what CAS says. Whatever CAS says, we'll have to abide by it, but we have to look back as to how things could have been done
Absolutely.
better.
It is a moment of introspection for the Wrestling Federation of India and of course for the government of India as well. But Mahima, please go ahead, make your point.
Since you brought up the fact that Vinesh Phogat herself did not want to contest in the 53 kg category, it was due to a false promise which was made by a committee which was intermittently formed when the whole tussle, the whole showdown was going on, wherein Antim Panghal, who was the bronze winner actually, they promised that at the end there will be a face-off between the two and whoever wins will be sent, which never happened, by the way. And the BJP's mentality becomes also very clear, Akanksha, when we listen to Ms. Hema Malini, an honorable MP from the BJP, who says that, this is all about the weight loss, for women. So that is the BJP's whole vision and view of the issue is very shallow, and it also emerges from their contradiction and conflict with these wrestlers and what they stood up for. Look at where Brij Bhushan Singh stands today and look at where Vinesh Phogat stands. Wasn't the whole team that was there, the physiotherapists, the nutritionists, weren't they all responsible for this, for the weight gain and for having controlled it in time? And in fact, very initially, the issue that we've just talked about between Antim Panghal and Vinesh Phogat, that shouldn't have happened, this 53 kg category, because Vinesh Phogat was striving with an injury. She was rightful of it, and it should have been looked into with due diligence. It wasn't. There has been gross negligence and, I repeat, systematic sabotage, cornering her with a coup by the BJP.
All right, that's another theory.
Can
The conspiracy, the coup that's being talked about, which I don't know. How can we? No, but Mahima, how can we make these claims without facts on ground, without any evidence on ground? Let's not call it a coup. When we've all seen the entire nation, including the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, everybody cheering her on, taking the matter to the CAS.
Can I come in, Akanksha?
Akanksha,
Can I
1
come in?
minute.
No, I've given you time. Mahima, please let him make it.
Akansha, Congress party is no party to lecture, which had put in spoken about sexist remarks against Saina Nehwal and Olympian Saina Nehwal just because she joined the Bharatiya Janata Party. So the Congress party is the last to speak about. I will only state facts because the Congress party somehow is getting deaf to facts and not able to listen to facts. Let me quote another fact. This is the article from the Indian Express on May 23rd, 2024. Where they interviewed Vinesh Phogat and it was asked, why did she took the risk of dropping to 50 kgs? I wanted to ensure my destiny is in my hands. Point number one. Point number one. Point number two, again, here is another article, let me quote here. This is again from the NGO which was working with her from the past many years. And let me quote verbatim what it says. As you all saw, her choice was right and she did so well in the weight beating the Olympic and the world champion Susaki of Japan and 2 other wrestlers to make it to the final. So the choice and the state of mind which the people in the panel are talking about, I do not understand. It's the same lady, it's the same champion who won the semi-finals and it's the same champion who fought in the finals. So what was the difference in the state and the mindset in the champion who won and defeated a world champion in the semi-finals, in the finals? There was no politics between the semi-finals and the finals. So my appeal to individuals, particularly in the Congress party, stop using Vinesh Phogat for Haryana elections. Please do not differentiate between our champions. Mahima, I request you, politics can happen some other day. Do not look at our athletes from a political lens.
Calm down. Pradeep, calm down.
People are asking you about Suresh Kalmadi.
Raising our volume. Just calm down.
No, it is
Mahima, the
extremely shocking
point
how
is
she's
that
trying to
Randeep
use Vinesh
Surjewala
Phogat's
on
case for
Wednesday
political
also was
purpose.
crying foul, alleging a conspiracy when we do not know what has, we've not heard Vinesh make that claim, that there's a conspiracy. Then why make these claims and lead to fear-mongering?
Not at all. No fear-mongering. I think the BJP, with its actions last year, with the wrestlers being thrashed, as I
Again,
said,
she's speaking about
Pradeep, she did not intervene. Please allow the lady to speak.
While the parliament was being inaugurated and the ministers were taking selfies gleefully, these wrestlers were being thrashed and beaten up on the roads. The glimpses are all over the internet. And I want to refer to an article, rather a very relevant article in day before yesterday's Indian Express, wherein a detailed report has come out, and I'll read out a brief passage out of it, Akanksha, where it mentions, the detailed report mentions the ad hoc committee which was running Indian wrestling at the time, amidst the wrestlers' protest against former Wrestling Federation of India chief and strongman Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, said that Antim would have to compete against the winner of the 53 kg Olympic trials to secure her berth at the mega event, but this promise was not set in stone. That is the case. Vinesh is sitting on a foreign soil. Vinesh is already devastated. Imagine you and I are devastated here. What would be her condition? How can we expect her to be making a comment today? Let her come back and we'll see whether she will look towards the Prime Minister, who did not bother to congratulate her when she won the semi-finals, did not utter a word. And the next day, when this huge personal loss happens, he comes out and write a whole, soliloquy there. So you see, the BJP is diplomatic. I would rather say a very, very hypocritic stance is evident to the.
It's been a heartbreaking situation for the entire nation. And the Prime Minister has in fact taken all efforts to aid every winner. And let me tell you, he takes to the social media platforms to congratulate winners. So here to shelve any expectation, the fact that he did laud her resilience is what a Prime Minister could do, and let's not negate that.
Allow me a 10-second rebuttal. She is trying to purposely take forward the conspiracy theory for her political purposes. Bajrang Punia has rejected it. His Mahavir Phogat has rejected it. These individuals are trying to use Vinesh Phogat for only their political purpose, and the Prime Minister of this country, please ask every athlete and they will tell you the story. Ask Aman Sherawat, ask all of them.
Mahima,
stop using it for political purposes.
All right, she wants to make a point. Mahima, 10 seconds, I have to cut to a quick break. We are about to receive the verdict any time now.
Akanksha, I have a simple question of you. Today, the CEO of your channel, let's say, you see, addresses you very affectionately, and tomorrow if you have a complaint internally, the CEO faces away from you, turns a deaf ear to you. How would you feel? The Prime Minister who called Vinesh Phogat his daughter once, But when she was being thrashed and beaten up, he was also gleefully getting.
We are talking about her performance at Olympics today. All right, please calm down. Please calm down. We are debating what. I think
the
we are.
people of India are seeing the true hypocrisy of the Congress party.
I urge you to exercise calm and patience over here to make your point. That is also a trait of an eloquent speaker.
My Prime Minister, that's my only limited
We have
point.
the right to debate.
Please.
Mahima, Pradeep, Mr. Memon, and of course, Mr. Sabaya, I'm going to request you to continue staying with us here at CNN News 18. It's time to cut to a quick break, but perhaps when we'll be back, the verdict should be out any time from now. Stay tuned. Phogat over there, the uncle of Vinesh Phogat, in fact, shelving hopes, two hopes that they may win this case at CAS as far as Vinesh Phogat's hopes for silver medal is concerned. And the other second hope is that they may be able to convince Vinesh Phogat to not retire and actually take that vow to retire back. But on that note, let me quickly bring in Mr. Memon. Mr. Memon, if the CAS does rule, I know that that's an unprecedented scenario, but let's not call it impossible. As you know, we do see that there's hope for, and now that it's been extended. What are the kind of ramifications will this have for the Olympic sports as far as the legalities there are concerned? How do you see this now changing the entire games and the scope of challenging the results?
I think it's going to have huge ramifications. You're absolutely right. I mean, if something like this goes in Vinesh's favor, which I personally think it should, but I think it will have huge ramifications, not just in wrestling, but all other sports. It could be about boxing, it could be about judo, it could be not just where weight categories are involved, but also in other disciplines. So I think that's why there is so much debate and discussion. That's why it's so procrastinated, as you mentioned, about the decision being taken. Because not just one decision that you are taking decisions which may actually even impact a lot of the decisions within these games itself and subsequently for the Olympics. So for the IOC, this is a really mammoth decision to take, and for CAS. So as I said earlier, fingers crossed. We'll wait till August 13th. Let's see.
All right, so here's a quick correction being made. We are now being told that expect the verdict to be announced on 11th of August, and that means there's less than 24 hours from now, because we are now learning that it will be announced on 11th of August, not the 13th of August. So in 24 hours from now. But let me, in fact, quickly bring in Mr. Sabaya. Mr. Sabaya, this could have ripple effects for all Olympic sports, not just wrestling. That is something that was also being voiced by Thomas Bach.
Yeah, definitely it's going to be a history if it's such thing has taken and decision has taken, because it is earlier many situation we know that such decision was never ever taken on based on for an argument. Every protest, whatever we do in any game, so that is umpire's decision, maybe that technical official's decision, but is all in favor of the technical official or umpire official. So none of the protests are upheld.
All right.
But if this argument goes well and if she wins and if they allow her to get her silver medal, it is damn good for a sport, but it will change a lot.
I'm going to give you quickly 15 seconds and 15 seconds to Pradeep, and I will urge you, let's have these words for Vinesh and not the government. Just give me 30 seconds. I'm going to request my team. We need to quickly wrap up.
I totally agree with you, Akanksha. And to Vinesh, I just want to say that हार हो जाती है जब मान लिया जाता है, जीत तब होती है जब ठान लिया जाता है, as Shakil Azmi has said. And all of us stand with Vinesh. The whole world today, in fact, a lot of international players today stand with Vinesh and stand with India. We are very hopeful and fingers crossed. We are getting this medal home tomorrow.
Absolutely. Pradeep, do you not think she went there and she's conquered already?
Absolutely, yes. The government stands completely with Vinesh and all the athletes, and all of us are keeping our fingers crossed. Let me assure you, and in fact, Mahavir Phogat ji said that the government has applied all its means and mechanism legally and all the possible
All right.
routes possible. Let's pray for Vinesh and let's hope the verdict comes in our favor.
And let me wrap that discussion on a more optimistic note. Fingers crossed for all of us. Many thanks to you, Mahima, and the gentleman, for joining us.